Every day, millions of Melburnians turn on their taps, trusting that what flows out is clean, safe, and ready to drink. And for good reason. Melbourne's drinking water is some of the cleanest in the world, but it didn't get that way by chance. In this episode, we're diving into the science and the engineering behind how we treat water. How we take it from raw, natural sources to the pure, reliable product that reaches your home. Let's start at the source. Most of Melbourne's water comes from protected catchments in the Yarra Ranges. These forested areas are closed to the public and carefully managed. With no agriculture, urban runoff, or industry allowed, the water that flows into reservoirs like Thomson, Upper Yarra, and Maroondah is naturally clean. In fact, it's so clean that in some cases only disinfection is needed. But no matter how pristine the source, water still typically needs treatment. Why? Because even in the cleanest catchments, microscopic pathogens like Giardia, Cryptosporidium, or E. coli can make their way into the water supply. Left untreated, they can cause illness or disease outbreaks. Melbourne has learned that lesson the hard way. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, before modern treatment systems were introduced, diseases like typhoid and cholera were common. Public health improved dramatically only after disinfection became a standard part of the water treatment process. Today, our treatment systems are among the most advanced in the world. Let's walk through the key stages. It begins at the treatment plant. Raw water is transported from the reservoir via gravity or sometimes pumped into facilities such as the Winnicki Water Treatment Plant at Sugarloaf or the Tarago Water Treatment Plant in West Gippsland. There, the water enters a multi-stage process designed to remove physical, chemical, and biological contaminants. Stage 1, coagulation and flocculation. This first stage is chemical. Engineers dose the water with coagulants, typically aluminium or iron salts, which neutralize the electrical charges on tiny suspended particles like clay, silt, and organic matter. These particles would otherwise stay suspended. The chemicals cause them to stick together into larger clumps, or flocks. These flocks are heavier and easier to remove. Stage 2, sedimentation and/or filtration. Next, the water passes through a sedimentation tank, where gravity helps the flocks settle out. In many cases, this step is followed immediately or sometimes replaced by filtration, where water flows through layers of sand, gravel, and activated carbon to trap fine particles and remove colour, taste, and odour. Sedimentation and filtration are particularly important when treating water from an open catchment, or during heavy rainfall events, which can stir up sediment and organic material. Stage 3, disinfection. Once the water is clear, it's time to make it safe. Melbourne Water and other Victorian water authorities likely use a combination of chlorine disinfection and ultraviolet light to kill bacteria, viruses, and parasites. UV light is especially effective against chlorine-resistant organisms like Cryptosporidium. Chlorine, meanwhile, provides a residual disinfectant effect, keeping the water safe as it travels through kilometres of pipes to homes and businesses. Stage 4, fluoridation. Finally, a small, regulated amount of fluoride is added to the water. This public health measure helps prevent tooth decay. Fluoride has been used in Melbourne's water supply since 1977 and was gradually expanded to different supply zones over the following decades. Fluoridation is tightly controlled and constantly monitored to meet both health guidelines and community expectations. After treatment, the water is pumped into clear water storage tanks or directly into the distribution network. From here, it's delivered across the city through thousands of kilometres of underground water mains. But the process doesn't end here. Melbourne's water is tested over 50,000 times a year at various points along the system. Engineers and technicians monitoring everything, from turbidity and pH to microbial activity and chlorine residual levels. Advanced facilities use real-time telemetry and automated response systems to detect anomalies. If anything is off, even slightly, corrective action is taken immediately. Water treatment isn't just about filtration and chemicals. It's about precision, planning, and risk management, and it's constantly evolving. In recent years, emerging contaminants have raised new challenges. Substances like microplastics, pharmaceutical residues, and endocrine disruptors are being detected in trace amounts across water systems worldwide. Melbourne Water and other water authorities are investing in research with advanced oxidation, membrane technologies, and research partnerships to try to stay ahead of these risks. There's also increasing interest in purified recycled water, the process of treating wastewater to drinking water standards. While not yet a part of Melbourne's supply, it is being explored as a potential future water source, especially as drought, population growth, and climate change put more pressure on existing supplies. Meanwhile, engineers continue to refine traditional processes, improving energy efficiency, reducing chemical use, and enhancing safety protocols across treatment plants. The story of water treatment in Melbourne is a story of engineering discipline, public health, and long-term vision. It's about more than just machines and chemicals. It's about trust. Every drop that comes out of the tap represents the work of hundreds of people, decades of planning, and a commitment to safety at every stage. But water treatment is only one part of that equation. As Melbourne looks to the future, we need to think not just about how to make water safe, but about where that water will come from. How will we meet growing demand? How do we secure supply in a drier, more volatile climate? In our next episode, we explore exactly that, looking ahead to the innovations, technologies, and infrastructure that will define the future of Melbourne's water supply. I'm Paul Michael Angus. Thank you for joining me.